everybody who's joining us this morning, wherever you might be today. So we're going to be using the PowerPoint here to go through the recipe, and there'll be step-by-step recipes as we go through, as well as it being on the board and information up there as well. I'm using a package called from Hodder Education here as a template for my my PowerPoint. So if you've seen that before in schools, that's where that one's come from. But we're going to be making a scone-based bread today. I'm going to talk you through different raising agents, how they work, how to shape the bread, how to put the bread together, and together we're going to make some wonderful cooked pieces. Okay, so like I say, hopefully you can all see that. Now I'm just going to give it a minute or so to people to find us, and then we'll get started. Okay, so here we go. We just got a few messages from school this morning. And let me see if I can get those ones up from the class as well. Okay, so we just got a few more people just joining us. We'll just bear with us for a few minutes, and apologies for the delay in getting that working. But we are nearly there. Okay, so I've got that from the school feed, and I've got that live as well. Right, it looks like we are ready to go then. And we're going to be going around my kitchen today. Obviously, we're not in school. With the current situation everyone's in, but don't worry, we can still have a lot of fun and we can still do some wonderful cooking. Now, before we begin, I should always say play it safe in the kitchen. If you're cooking along at home, can you please make sure you have a grown-up with you to supervise and help? Okay, there are things that can go wrong in the kitchen. You can hurt yourself, injure yourself, and it's always good to make sure there's a grown-up there to help supervise and look after what you're doing. So only cook if it's safe to do so, you've got permission to do so, and there is a grown-up in the area with you who knows what you're doing. Okay, so scone bread twists, nice simple recipe, but before we get started, there's a few basics we need to put in place. Now, if you're at school talking around, you know the next bit, but I'm going to just refresh it for everybody else about how we start to cook. Okay, that's all again, it's all about playing it safe before we start to cook. So what we do next is, let me just get that one up on there for you, is we need, that's kind of learning objectives. Going to demonstrate your shaping a dough, chopping, grating, using an oven, all sorts of different skills today. Before we start, we need to get yourself ready, your area ready, and you'll collect your equipment. And that's, we use a little abbreviation to remember that. And what we use to remember that is HATTIE. H-A-T-T-I-E. So this is all about playing it safe and getting ready to cook. Okay. And what does that stand for? Well, very simply, HATTIE stands for H, tie your hair back. Now, I don't have to worry about that. There's not so much hair for me to worry about this morning, but you need to, if you have got long hair, please make sure you've got your hair tied up. And that might seem really weird in your own kitchen, but bear with, you do need to be doing that one. We don't want any contamination in your food. Last thing we want is hair in our food. So no, enough of that. So hair tied back, wash your hands, really important given the current situation and the time we're in at the moment to do that as well. But whenever we're cooking, we should be washing our hands thoroughly before we start to cook. A, put an apron on. Again, this might seem a little bit strange. I've got my apron here if you're cooking at home, but this is all about preparing yourself and getting yourself ready so that we can cook hygienically and in a safe way. So make sure you've got your apron on. T again here is for tabletops. We need to make sure the tabletops are being cleaned down properly. My tabletop's being cleaned down. We need to make sure your tabletop's being cleaned down before we start to begin. Anti-bac spray is always a good one with that one. Then we need to make sure we've got a tray to collect the I, which is equipment. Sorry, I is ingredients, E is for equipment. So this is what we do as a setup. And we have this is all comes under what we call mise en place. And this is a French about put in place. It's making sure everything's put in place to make sure your area is safe and ready to work. You're safe and ready to work before we begin in the kitchen. Okay, so we're going to go through that one and we're going to do that one together, all of you together to get ready before we start to cook. All right, here we go then. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we are ready to cook by washing our hands and getting our apron on. So if you'd like to come with me, we're going to hop, skip and a jump across my kitchen here, and we're going to go and wash our hands and get ready to cook. Get ready to cook. So let's come on over. I'm just going to bring my camera over there. Okay. So welcome to my kitchen. We're just going to be just getting our hands ready to cook here before we can't start to cook. So 20 seconds is what you want to do. So get some hot soapy water on the go there, and we want to be properly washing our hands. So proper washing our hands there, and then the side, our fingers, we want to go to the back of our hands. There we are, some nice hot soapy water. Look at the thumbs, cleaning up everything there. And then we're just going to wash all of those soap suds off. Now, how do you remember to do 20 seconds? Well, I'm sure you've seen it a lot at the moment, but happy birthday twice. Singing that will also give you the 20 seconds you need to make sure your hands are cleaned and washed before we start to begin our cooking. So we are safe and hygienic to do so. So just make sure my hands are properly clean there, all the way through. Get back of hands again, get thumbs in there, make sure we are really ready to go. Okay, just going to dry my hands off there. And then once we've done that, we need to, I'm just going to be extra sure. I've got some anti-bac there, some sanitizer there, antibacterial sanitizer. I'm just going to put some of that on as well, so we're properly clean and ready to go before we start. Okay, I think we're ready to go there. I'm just going to roll my sleeves up, and I'm going to get my apron and chef whites on as well before we start to cook. Okay, let's come on back from my kitchen. We're just going to move back round. There we go. And we're going to get ready to begin again the actual cooking part. Now, before we do that, there was one other thing we need to do before we start with our scone bread twists, and that is to get our aprons on. So I've got two here I'm going to be wearing today. I'm going to be wearing my chef whites. I offer my chef whites beforehand, and then I'm going to be wearing my apron as well on top of that. Okay, so let's make sure we are properly ready to go. And if you've got any comments you want to put down the side as we're going along, that's absolutely fine. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can put the comments down the side there on the live feed. If you are watching this from school this morning, so my year 7 class this morning from school, you can just put your comments down the side of our Teams. So we are simultaneously broadcasting this to Talkie Girls Grammar through Teams to the year 7 class, which is also being recorded. And then we've also got this being broadcast live on YouTube this morning to other schools as well. So it'd be great to know where everybody is from the other schools. So if you wanted to, say, leave a comment down the side there, say anything you want to down the side, that would be fabulous, so that we can see where everyone else is from and wherever else is cooking. That would be lovely as well. So feel free to do that one as well. We've got 13 different schools by looks of things joining us this morning, as well as my students from school, so it's great to see you all. Food Teachers Centre, which is the Food Teacher Organisation, the Association for Discussion Forum for Food Teachers there. So I'm just going to have that all nicely done. Aprons and chef whites ready to cook. Hopefully you've got your aprons on now and you are ready to cook. You've washed your hands, so you are also ready to cook. And we are now going to go through both the ingredients and the equipment that you're going to require to make our scone bread twists, and we'll go through that one together so you can see what's required for you and make sure that we've got everything with us today. Okay, I'm just going to check back to school, just make sure we got any comments down there. No, everybody's there. Looks like we're okay for Talkie Girls Grammar as well. Fabulous. Any comments you say, girls, you want to put down the side there, or anyone who's watching this on YouTube, you can put your comments down the side as well. Right. Oh, yeah, let me write something in there. Here we go. So hello there. A few people there this morning. There we go. Let's do that at the same time. Right. So let's go through what's required for this in step by step, so everybody knows what's going to be required. So let's just do a double check on the ingredients and the equipment that you require today. Okay, so firstly, the ingredients. Just a recap on the ingredients if you've got these, and I'll talk about some options that you might have if we haven't got those close to hand. First one is flour. Now, what sort of flour? We're going to be making a bread today. We're making actually a scone bread today. So it's a quick bread. I'm going to explain a little bit about why it's called a quick bread and different raising agents a little bit later. But we're making a bread, and the bread's going to require a flour. Now, flour obviously comes from ground up type of grass, a cereal we call it. And we can use a few different types for this one. It's not a traditional bread, so we can use a couple of different types of flour. Traditional bread, you might be using a bread flour. So we've got a standard bread flour there, so you might be able to be using that one. And we could use that bread flour today. Alternatively, you can use just a plain flour on this one. So we've got just a plain flour in there as well, so that would be absolutely fine for this one. So please don't worry if you haven't got any bread flour. A plain flour will be absolutely fine. So we've got bread flour or plain flour there, and we're looking at 200 grams of that. Now, if you haven't got any scales at home, that's going to be okay. We're going to be talking about how you can measure that one a little bit later using hands and cups and spoons. So if you haven't got scales at home, please don't worry. We can still carry on and make our Scone bread twists without the scales at hand. All right, let's talk about the next one. So we've got a butter or baking fat. Now, you might be trying out, or you might be vegan, or you might be trying out veganuary over the January time here, which is looking at alternative food products that might not be dairy or animal based. So it doesn't matter either here. So I've got both the dairy butter there, fat, and then I've got a plant-based one as well. So I'm going to be having to go with the plant-based one because we're trying that in our house at the moment. We're looking at trying to look at as many vegan options as we can for our food. So we're going to be using a plant-based butter or fat or baking fat, but any kind of butter or baking fat will work really well in this recipe. So you're going to be looking there for about 40 grams. And again, if you haven't got scales, I'll show you a quick way to be able to measure that very shortly. Some baking powder. Ooh, now we're going to go into a lot more detail about that one today. So we've got some baking powder here, and we're going to talk about raising agents and how baking powder works in your food. And we're going to be going over that in the next hour or so. And we're going to be looking at some of the food science there. We're going to be blowing up some food, which is lovely. It's what I like to do. A bit of fun stuff there, and I'll show you how to make some fun little explosions there. We're going to be then, it says an egg. Now, again, this depends on whether you're vegan or not, or even maybe having a go at veganuary. So I've got all my eggs there, but you can always look at an alternative to an egg here. So this is an aquafaba egg alternative here, which will work really well. Now, again, if you haven't got any aquafaba, which is an egg alternative there, you can make your own egg alternative if you've got a can of chickpeas, because aquafaba, or this egg alternative, is actually chickpea water. So it's been drained from a can, and you can use that one as an alternative again, if you wish to, in this recipe. And I know we're in lockdown 3, which does mean that you might find it more difficult to get hold of ingredients. So we'll look at some alternatives for you. We want to make it easy. We want to get you cooking. Okay. Remember, if you just joined us, we went through at the beginning with all of these ones. Cooking can be dangerous. There are some inherent risks involved in cooking in the kitchen, so do make sure you've got a grown-up at hand, and please make sure that they're aware of what's going on and you're working in a safe way and you have permission to work in the kitchen. All right, milk. So again, we've got a few different types. You could be using a standard milk. For this one, and it doesn't matter whether it's skimmed, semi-skimmed, it doesn't really matter at all of that. Or I've got an oat milk, so an dairy alternative again. So I'm going to be using that one in ours today. So it doesn't matter, either, we can have a bit of a play with that one. Next we've got, it says a filling. So we've got a filling which can be a tomato passata, or it can be a pesto. Now, I use both of these, and they both work extremely well in this one. So it could be a passata or a puree, and so any of these will do. So if you've got a pure passata at home, something like that, or you've got a tomato puree, I've got a puree there as well. Tomato puree would work with this one. I'm actually going to have a go at a pesto, I think, as well. So pesto works really, really well. So I've got a reduced fat pesto there, but I'm also going to show you how we make a pesto, which is lovely. And you can make pesto out of all sorts of things throughout the year. So even things that are free. So during the summer lockdown, we're making pesto out of sea nettles, for instance. Not you do it at the moment, but I'm going to show you the principle of making a filling like that you can use for yourself. So sea nettles pesto, which is, you can use free sea nettles, which just out that you might be able to find out on the grass verge somewhere, or in the woods, or when you go for your exercise during lockdown. walk out. Okay, well, other things there. We've got mixed herbs, fresh herbs. So I've got some fresh herbs. I've got some fresh herbs here, which I've got from before. There we go. There's some fresh herbs there. We've got some basil, which works really nicely. So I'm going to show you how to make that one into a pesto. And I've got actually I've got a basil plant over there. We can have a look and I can talk to you a bit more detail about that. And then finally, we've got some cheese. Now, cheese-wise on this weekend, we can be we're locked down. We can be lose lots of different options. That's absolutely fine. So I've got there's a standard block of cheese here. So we can use a standard. This is just like a cheddar block of cheese here, so you can use that. Mozzarella, grated cheddar, work really well. I'm actually going to be using today a vegan one again. I'm going to use a vegan block, like a cheese alternative, a dairy alternative there to go into mine, so we can again try and have a look at to try it as much as possible with the big annuary side of things. When can I do my cooking and when is it due? Okay, so you can do your cooking right now with me live shortly. We're just going to start it. I'm just going to go through the ingredients and equipment. So I'm just answering some questions here. So you can do it straight away with me now, or you can do that later on if you're at school at the moment. Okay, so if you're at the school, if you can't cook at the moment, what you can do is you can either do that in the evening or during the week, and then you've got a time to. If you're at school and I'm teaching you at the moment, you can then submit that to me, your evaluation homework to me anytime over the next week. Okay, so just sort of answering some questions from school. Anything from YouTube here? Similar sort of thing, right, same questions being duplicated there between YouTube and Teams. Right, again, if you want to ask any questions as going along, you've got a comments, girls, if you're watching this at school, and if you're watching this live on YouTube, you've got the comments section down there as well, so you can use either. Okay, let me just check everybody. Any more questions there? No, that's all good so far. Just checking we've got no more questions coming in. No, that's no more questions on there. So I've got apologies if you're wondering what's going on. So I've got simultaneous feeds both to my school, which is being recorded, and onto YouTube today, which is exciting. So we can broadcast to other schools. So if you're joining us from another school, thank you very much for joining us. Or if you're joining us from a home elsewhere in the country, thank you from a not so sunny Devon out there today. All right, so we've got the ingredients. Let's go on to equipment, and let's look at equipment alternatives that you can do as well. So equipment-wise, we've got some scales, which would be great if you've got scales, but don't worry if you haven't got scales. So I've got some lovely pinky purpley scales there for me. If you haven't got that, I'm going to show you some alternatives and ways of being able to do that one. A measuring jug, and again, if you haven't got, I've got a little measuring one there, but if you haven't got something with measures on there, again, I will show you how we can do that in tablespoons and teaspoons. So we can just use different size spoons to do it all, because I want you to get you cooking and it doesn't matter. We can find, I've got some alternatives. It says mixing bowls there, so I've got my mixing bowls there, but you can do it in a different sort of bowl if you want. So I've just got nice clear Pyrex ones so you can see what I'm doing today. We've got a sieve. Yep, we've got fabulous sieve there. We've got a rounded butter knife. So that sort of knife, and we're going to be looking at knives in a moment, that's the sort of knife you might spread your butter with. So it's just a not very sharp, just a normal butter knife that you would do there. So we've got ourselves a rounded butter knife. Tablespoons and teaspoons, which we just saw just then. So big spoon and little spoon. All right. A baking tray and some greaseproof paper. So that's just over here. Might be worth you getting hold of a cooling rack if you've got one as well. But if not, we've got a baking tray there and some greaseproof paper. We're going to use those. And then finally, some scissors to help you out there. So I've got some scissors there as well. All right, looks like we are nearly ready to go. So we've got all of our equipment. We've got all of our ingredients ready. Hopefully you at home now are ready to go and we can start thinking about making our foods today. So let me just check any more questions or queries or any more comments there as we're going along. No, that looks all good from a YouTube point of view. And we seem to be all right from a school point of view. Right, just a couple of questions from school. Let me just get that one. Okay, there we go. Yep, we've got school. From the school's point of view, if you go straight to, if you're having, yeah, we're having, if you've got some IT issues with Teams this morning from school, then if you just click on to YouTube right now, we're also broadcasting live on YouTube. So if you click on YouTube and search for Fun Kitchen on YouTube, you'll be able to see me broadcasting live on there if you're having problems with your Teams logging in. Okay, so so any of you girls there, I've got a few of you coming in saying, right, so let me just say there, right, I'm just going to quickly reply to you all there. So if you're watching this one, we are on YouTube right now. If you're having any problems with that, there we go. Okay, so looks like they're already at school, and I've got no questions or queries so far from YouTube. If you're all ready, we'll get started. Now, like I say, they're going to be doing them as step-by-steps up on the board here. So I've got up on the board here a step-by-steps of each of what we're going to do throughout this. So step-by-step picture recipe. Now, if you can't see this on the board, that's absolutely fine, because I'm going to talk through a whole thing with you as well. Let me move the camera so you can see a bit better there, and then we'll move it back when we do some food science stuff in a minute. Okay, so this is our scone bread twists. Very, very simple. I'll talk you through the recipe first, and then once I've talked you through the recipe, we'll go through and we'll make it together step by step. Okay, so let me introduce you to this recipe. First thing we're going to do is we're going to measure out the flour together. So that's 200 grams of flour, ideally a strong bread flour or a bread flour, the one we showed you earlier. This sort of thing, which would be a nice strong bread flour, would be perfect. But if you haven't got that, then a plain flour is going to work just as well on that one as well. So you can just use yourself a plain flour as well. Then we're going to measure out the fat. And with this one, like I say, an unsalted butter or a butter alternative you can use there. We're going to measure that one out as well. So you've got the option of being able to, which one you'd like to. Then once we've done that one, we're going to sieve the flour, and we're also going to mix in the baking powder. And again, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about what's in baking powder and how that works while we're doing it. And then you don't need to, I've said put a little bit of sugar in there. I don't think we need to put sugar in there. And if we can reduce the sugar, all the better. So I'll tell you what, we're going to leave that one out, or you don't need that one in there. So I'm going to go move a little bit off this one and just change that a little bit. And I'm going to say no to that one. Then we're going to use a process called cutting in, and I'll show you how to do that one. Very simple process, which we're going to learn today, a skill there of cutting in. Then we're going to do a little bit of what we call rubbing in. So we're going to rub in as well. Then we're going to add the egg or the egg alternative, mix all of that together. Gently, slowly, we're going to add in the milk or the milk alternative, little at a time. It's really important, and I'll explain why, but a little bit of milk at a time. We're going to bring all of that mixture together. We're going to lightly knead it, only very lightly. We don't want to overwork this one. And we're going to bring it together into a lovely dough, and then we're going to do the shaping part. Now we're going to be doing the shaping, and when we do the shaping, we're going to be twisting or indeed plaiting the bread. So this would be a scone bread twist, or if you feel adventurous and you want to make something really exciting, we'll also try and plait it as well. And we're then going to get it put shape together. I'll show you how we can turn a plaited one into something we call a French crown bread, which is like a French crown if you want to, or just a simple twist. So it's entirely up to you how you want to do that one. So we'll see if we can get to some high level marks by doing some more advanced shaping. And that's what we're going to do. It's going to be baked until golden brown. You'll be using the ovens today. So a word of caution, again, hot surfaces, and we're going to be using knives, and there'll be a cautionary note there about using knives as well. The oven will be preheated to 200 degrees or gas mark 6. So before we start, if you want to get that preheated, you can do. So that's preheating your ovens there to 200 degrees or gas mark 6. Fabulous. Okay. Right. Let me just see if we're all ready to go. It looks like we are. Any more questions from anyone before we start? We're going to take it slowly. We've got 2 hours to do this one. So any questions as we're going along, that is absolutely fine. Please don't worry about that one. And it's the first time we've simultaneously done it on YouTube. So hopefully the other people around the country can also see our lesson here. But we're going to be taking it slowly. We've got a couple of hours here just to get our food together and looking really nice. And so we're going to get some explanation in there, a bit of food science in there. We're going to look at making some chemical reactions, which will be good as well. Right. let's go. Let's check there's no other questions from school. Here we go. And then we'll get started. There we go. Looks like we're already there. That's fine. Can we? Will any butter be okay? Yep. Any butter will be okay on this one. A baking fat, a solid butter, you can do salted or unsalted on this one. I probably suggest giving the choice an unsalted, or like I say, a butter alternative. So I'm just answering questions from school there at the same time. Yep, that's absolutely fine. Can I use? I'm going to come on to this later. Can I use bicarbonate of soda and cream of tartar? Yes, you can instead of the baking powder. Okay, I've got no baking powder. Can I use self-raising flour? Yeah, that's absolutely fine as well. So that would work instead of the baking powder and the flour, a plain flour or bread flour. So yeah, those will work absolutely fine. Any other questions? Please feel free. Let's say whether you're at school, you can carry on putting in your questions there, or if you are if you're watching us live on live chat now on YouTube, you can ask us questions down there as well. That's fantastic. Okay, I'm just going to ask everybody on YouTube, ready to go? Okay, hopefully everybody is ready to go, and we can get started with our scone bread twists. And I'll talk you through some different aspects of scone bread twists and how it works down the side here, and we'll write up some information as we're going along. Yeah, okay, looks like we're ready to go. I'm going to get started then. So the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be measuring out our flour. So if you've got scales, fabulous. And if you haven't got scales, I'm going to talk you how you can do it without scales, to say, because we're at home, we're not in school, so it might be more difficult to get hold of certain equipment or certain ingredients, but I still want to be able to cook with you all. So I'll talk you through that one. So I've got my there. I'm going to use, let's think strong plain. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with just, as you might be doing at home, I'm going to go with just a plain flour because it works well with this one. All right. Now, if you haven't got scales, 1, 2, 3, just to show you there. 3, let's put that one down there onto the shelf. Okay, 3, 4, 5. Now, five spoonfuls should give you should be enough to give you 100 grams. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 of those is how many you need. 5 for 100 grams. So 10 of those will be absolutely fine. So if you're thinking about, I haven't got any scales, how am I going to measure this one out? 10 large tablespoons will give you roughly the same amount. It's actually, if you don't believe me, there we go. Some people are like saying, no, we can't. I tell you, 10 tablespoons is actually, there we are, 1 gram off. So it works. So ideally, like I say, you want to be using scales, but if we haven't got scales at home, I still want you to be able to cook. So 10 of those will be fine. Now, there are things we've done before where actually, depending on what size hands you've got, obviously, but you can actually do it with, I've done it before with heat. So a level double handful of flour. It's around about 100 grams as well for your age group as well. So we're looking at key stage 3 here. But we've got our flour into there. Fabulous. So that's one way you can measure it out. So let's move on to the next one. The next one was the fat. So we need to measure out the fat for us. So flour. We're going to measure out the fat. And the fat, let's say I'm going to be using today, is going to be a plant-based fat. So we're trying to look at veganuary as much as possible and looking at, but again, any kind of fat, baking fat or butter on this one will work really, really well. For this one, we are looking at, you can see up on the board there, move that one around so you can see. There we go. So you can see there that we are looking at 2 tablespoons to 40 grams of unsalted butter is ideally what we're looking at there. So this is an ideal up there, but we can say work with this one. So we're going to be using that one. So let's get that one on. Measure that one out. Exactly. Now I said How can you measure this one out if you haven't got scales? So if you look on the packets there, you should see across there a measurement. Now it's a rough estimate, but you see that you've got 50 grams, 50-gram blocks, or some of yours might be measured in 25-gram blocks. So you can actually slice it down and still be able to get the food that you need, the right amount of food on there. So that's another way we could have a go at doing this one. So if you can't do that one, we can look at the cutting, you can look at spoons. I just want to get you all cooking. So it doesn't matter which of those methods you use. So I'm going to do this one now. I'm going to do 40 grams. And what does 40 grams look like? Let me show you what 40 grams looks like. There we go. I'm just going to measure that one out. Perfect, spot on. That is 40 grams of unsalted fat there. Now that unsalted fat's going to go in, and we're going to mix those, all of those together. All right. So let's start with our mixing. I've got my bowl here, and I'm going to start to get all of these ingredients together. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sieve these together. So here we go. This is my bowl, and I'm just going to. You can see that one there. Fabulous. That's my bowl there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my sieve here. This is a sieve. So a sieve is like something that's got lots of teeny tiny holes in there. And what that's going to do is it's going to break down those into nice fine flour, as well as it also getting some air into our mixture, which is great. It's one of our GCSE terms, that aeration. Aeration, adding air into food. And I'm going to talk about lots of different types of aeration. So aeration, adding air into food. Okay, so this is one way I can do this one. So I have a sieve here, and what I'm going to do with my sieve is I'm going to now put in the measured out flour. Here's the measured out flour, and I'm going to sieve that flour in. Now again, if you haven't got a sieve, how can you get lovely fine flour coming out of there, and how can you make sure that you haven't got any lumps, and how can you get air in it? Now that's a really good question. So let me show you how you could have done this one. Instead of sieving like I'm doing now, you see I'm just tapping the outside there, and I'm just getting all of that in there. Let me just zoom in for you here. We can zoom in for you. Oops, and there we go. There we go. So I'm just put that all in there. Fabulous. So if you hadn't got a sieve, what could you do? Well, you could try whisking it. Okay, so you might be thinking, well, I don't have a whisk, so how can I do this? So let me show you a quick little trick you can use, something that I've done before. And again, I want you all to get you all cooking. So I'm more concerned that we get everybody cooking than we have all the correct equipment at home. So what you could use is, instead of, zoom back out there. There we go. You can see me again. So instead of sieving, you could use a whisk, and you could get some air into it that way, and you'd also break it down into smaller lumps that way. Or if you haven't got a sieve close to hand, you could use one of these. It might seem like a fork, but if you put two forks together, just like that, look, we've got ourselves a makeshift sieve. And then all you need to do is just to, here we go, we're just going to stir that through. We're getting air in, still getting air into the mixture. Don't tell them, air into our mixture, and we're breaking the mixture down. So you could use a whisk, you could use two forks put together to make a whisk, or like I say, if you've got a sieve, perfect. Which means we can get some air into that one that way. Fabulous. So we've now got a bowl of aerated flour. What we're going to do now is we're going to go pop along to the next stage on here. We've got a fat and we've got flour. We're going to put in there some baking powder. Now this is really interesting because this is chemistry. This is a bit of food science, and I love a bit of food science. So we're going to be doing that one straight away. So where is it? There it is. This is baking powder. This is a baking powder, and a baking powder is a secret agent. Okay, now like any good secret agent, it's got many different names. And what the agent is, it's a raising agent. Okay, so it raises things up. This is what we call a raising agent. So this stuff here, this white powder, let me just pull the top off so you can see. There we go. So this white powder in there, let me just zoom in so you can see. There we go. You can just about see that white powder in there. Now that white powder in there is a combination of two things and it's what we call a raising agent. So a raising agent makes our food rise. Very interesting. There's lots of different raising agents out there. Like I say, every good secret agent has plenty of names, and this raising agent does too. So a raising agent that helps our food rise up, and that's why it's called a raising agent, baking powder. Okay, so let's look at this in a little bit more detail. What is in this that makes our food rise? And how does it make our food rise? Well, and what are the different names? Raising agents. So raising agents make our food rise by adding air to our food. And this particular raising agent adds air to our food through a chemical reaction. I'm going to show you that chemical reaction right now. And it's going to create instant air, instant bubbly air. So let's just put our food aside a minute and while I show you our bit of food science. So I have got my raising agent. Here we go. And what I'm going to do to it, is going to open it up and I'm going to put some of that into a bowl and show you how it rises up. Okay, it's quite a fabulous looking thing. Okay, so this is my little bowl. I've just got, there we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little teaspoon of this baking powder in there. Now at the moment, nothing is happening. Nothing at all is happening. Let me just zoom in so you can see that one there. So nothing is happening at all at the moment, but we want it to bubble up in our food to make our food rise up. So how are we going to do this one? Well, in there at the moment is two very dry chemicals. Nothing is going to happen while they're dry. What we need to do is we need to make them wet. When we make them wet, then something crazy is going to happen. Okay, here we go. Now, I zoom in really high. Hopefully you can see that one on the camera now. If I stir that one through, you can see that is bubbling away. And that is going to be the air that we get inside our food. And that's going to bubble away inside our food to make our food rise up. Now this is what's going to be what makes our food rise in the oven. Let me put a little bit more water in. I'm just going to put a little bit more water in and you can see it again. Bubbling away in our food. Now this is our little bit of food science going on. And we're going to show you how you can make the baking powder and how you can make that bubble up as well. There we go. Move those bubbles away. Now you can see that on the camera bubbling away. All right, so let me show you what's in that that's bubbling away. Okay, back to me. Now I'm going to talk you through how that works. How does that bubble away? How, when I add some liquid to it, does it bubble away like that? Well, there's two things inside that baking powder. Let's just move over here. Two things in there. There is an acid and there's an alkali. Now, these are dry acids and alkali. Then we add water to them and they no longer dry, they're wet acid and alkali, and they can start to react and bubble away like you saw there. So what happens is when you mix an acid and alkali together, you get a particular type of gas. And that gas, which is bubbling away, is called carbon dioxide, or CO2. CO2. Now, the other good thing is when you mix an acid and alkali together, it neutralizes, which is good because we don't want a really acid food or a really alkali food. We want something that's going to neutralize. Now, you might think, I'm going to eat acid? Really? Yes, you are. But there's lots of food acids already out there. So let's have a look at some of the other food acids that are already out there. And we can try some experiments in a minute. So this is a malt vinegar. Okay, there we go. So you can see that one. And malt vinegar. Vinegar is an acid. We've got here some lemon juice. That is an acid. And when we mix acid with an alkali, we get bubbles. Don't believe me? Let's show you another bit of food science. Let's do an experiment again. So let's zoom in. So I have got 2 dishes here, and I have got in there, see those on the board, fabulous. We've got there some lemon juice. So I'm just going to pour in some lemon juice into this one. And into this one, I'm going to pour some vinegar. Well, it smells like fish and chips in here. Fish and chips with some lemon. 2 acids that go with our fish and chips. You might have a squeeze of lemon on yours, or you might put some vinegar on it. But 2 acids there. Now, as they are at the moment, they're not doing a tremendous amount. Okay, because all we've got there at the moment is the acid. But if we add an alkali, then we're going to end up with this gas, CO2. So what sort of food alkali is there? Well, let me introduce you to another chemical raising agent that you can use in your food. And this is known as bicarbonate of soda. Now, bicarbonate of soda is an alkali food, and we can use that in our food to help our food to rise. So let's put some in there and show you how that works. So I have got, again, looks like a white powder in there. And I'm just going to be putting some of that into our 2 dishes. Zoom in again. Okay, so we've got our 2 dishes there. And I'm going to put some alkali in. And can you see the instant reaction there? That's the lemon juice. Let's try the vinegar. Can you see that instant bubbling away? We're blowing up food. I love blowing up food. We are literally blowing up food. The food is being blown up by air there. The air is CO2, and we've got it's being blown up by an acid, which is the lemon juice, an acid, which is the vinegar. Now, you might be thinking here, my food doesn't taste of lemon juice or vinegar when I make a bread or when I make a cake. So what's the acid you're using? Well, the acid we use in cakes is something known as cream of tartar. So cream of tartar is the acid. Now, like I say, we mix cream of tartar together. We mix, there we go, I'm showing on the board. We mix those 2 together, and we're going to end up with this gas. So what's in your baking powder? Okay, so we'll come back to our baking powder. It's got 2 things in it. It's got an acid and an alkali. So our baking powder, there it is. There's our baking powder there. Our baking powder has got a dry acid and a dry alkali in there. It has got a combination of both cream of tartar, which is the acid, and the alkali, bicarbonate of soda. Both of those are in there already. So both of those are in there at the moment, and they are going to create that gas, that CO2. So let's just add something to it. So the acid will be cream of tartar. So it's a funny old name, tartar. There we go. It's a funny name, tartar. And then we've got the alkali, which was bicarbonate of soda. There we go. Bicarbonate of soda. And that's going to create our gas, CO2. And that is going to raise our food up. So, like I said, chemically, this is a chemical raising agent. We've got 2 chemicals coming together. So chemical raising agents to make our scone bread twist. Now, another name for this type of bread is actually a quick bread, because you saw how fast those all started to bubble up. Let me go back and show you how fast those bubbled up. Do you remember? So that's why it's sometimes known as a quick bread, but it's also known as a soda bread. Because if you can remember, the name of the alkali we used is bicarbonate of soda. So it could be called a soda bread. So these are all using chemical raising agents to create these bubbles. And that's what we're going to do with you today. We're going to create chemical raising agents. Now you're probably thinking, oh, this sounds a little bit odd, eating acid and alkali. But I bet you've done that already. Now, has anyone ever eaten before these sort of things? Sherbet fountains, dib dabs. Okay, if you've eaten these before, then you've eaten dry acid and dry alkali. You've actually eaten dry cream of tartar and bicarbonate of soda, flavoured with a little bit of sugar. But you've eaten both of those. And when you eat them both, what happens on your tongue? Wow, it says it right here. Fizzing. And that's what's going to happen in your bread. And that's what happened just down there. You have got an acid and an alkali. And it actually says, if you look very carefully on the back of the packet, it says there, it has tartaric acid, cream tartar, and bicarbonate of soda. So you might be able to see that one. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see that one. It actually says so on the back there of it. So there is, in fact, dry acid and dry alkali in there already to create that bubbling that we're going to be doing inside our soda bread. Whoa, we've got loads of chemistry, science going on here to raise our bread up, to get it rising up, raising our bread. So it's really quite interesting how we do this one. Right, let's have a look at some questions. Any questions about that? Instead of doing one big one, can we do lots of little ones? Yes, absolutely. You can do mini scone bread twists with this one. When we do this one, that'll be fine. Let's have a look at any more questions. That's from YouTube. Let's have a look any more questions from school. So from school, any more questions from school? There we go. No, we're all good there. Everybody's happy. Right, so that is all about chemical raising agents. And that's, let's say, lots of different names for chemical raising agents: bicarbonate soda, cream of tartar, baking powder, sometimes known as baking soda, depending on where you are in the world. But this is all about chemical raising agents, the acid and the alkali working together for us to make a gas. Now, you might think, well, you talked about a traditional bread earlier, and you said, so how does that rise? Because we don't put baking powder or cream of soda or bicarbonate soda, or we don't put cream of tartar in, we don't put all those things into a normal bread. So how does that rise up? That's got raising agents in it. Yes, traditional bread does. So traditional bread has got a raising agent, and that is a biological. Now, biology means the study of living things, and this has got something living in your food. Okay, so here we have the living thing that blows bubbles in, and we talk about more about this in year 8. But this, just to touch on it now, this is it. I've got a whole packet of them here, and you might have seen them before. This is yeast. Okay, now yeast is a living organism that will live, and it breathes in your food, and it blows bubble into your food. What's it look like? Let me show you up on the camera how what it's like and what the yeast in here. If I show you what it looks like, I'm just going to zoom in so you see what that looks like. Can you see that on the camera there? Teeny tiny yeast. Now the yeast is all over these little individual pieces here, and there are lots and lots, and they're teeny tiny small microorganisms that will be blowing bubbles into your food in a traditional bread. Okay, they're like little pets that do a really good job for us, and they also create gas, and they create the same gas, that carbon dioxide. So they breathe out carbon dioxide into your food for you. Now they're teeny tiny small. If I was to get one of my hairs, okay, and if I hold it up to the camera, teeny, really, you should be able to see. Oh, there are 15 teeny tiny yeast all lined up on the end of one of my hairs. I'm joking. I didn't really pull my hair, and it wasn't lined up in there. But if you were to line up the yeast, they are so teeny tiny small that you would get 15 of them lined up on one of the end of your hairs. That's how teeny tiny small they are. So what we do is, in a traditional bread, we put the yeast in there. We give it something to eat, something to drink. So we give them some some fat or sugar, or they eat off the sugars that are in the flour. And they give them some liquids in there, make it nice and warm for them, nice warm liquids, nice warm proving time, and they start to breathe in our food, and they release the CO2, and they help our bread to rise. And so we talk about more about what's required to make yeast do the best job possible for us in year 8. But for year 7, we're going to be just looking at a very quick bread, and we're going to be looking at scone breads, and we're going to be looking at these quick scone bread twists. And then when we get to year 8, we'll look at bread dough in a little bit more detail, and we'll look at yeast as a raising agent. So lots of different raising agents. We've talked about baking powder. We've talked about bicarbonate soda and cream of tartar that make baking powder. Another word for baking powder is baking soda. And they're all chemical. And then we've got the biological ones, which are our yeast. Now, during lockdown, you may have heard of another type of yeast. And this is my other type of yeast. And here she is, bubbling away inside here. Now, this is a sourdough yeast. I'm just going to show you this one. Now, this is already alive, so I don't need to wake it up by adding... And I put this one into bread. Can you see all that bubbling away? Let me just zoom in for you here. There we go. I'm just going to... Oops. Zoom in a little bit more. You can see that one hopefully on the camera there. All those bubbles from my sourdough yeast in here. Now, again, this is living, and these are actually alive in here, blowing bubbles in here right now. So you can probably just see some of those bubbles just happening right now, live as we do this on YouTube. My sourdough is bubbling away in there, and that is the CO2 being produced from a biological raising agent. Okay, so we've got a biological raising agent flowing in. Now, we are only going to use baking powder today, but in year 8, we'll use some of these biological ones. So we're going to use chemical ones today. We're going to use baking powder. But in year 8, we use biological. We use yeast. We use either the dried yeast, which you just saw earlier on, some dried yeast in there, or we can use my sourdough yeast, which is alive and breathing and bubbling away carbon dioxide already. Wow, that's lots to think about there for raising agents. So let's get back to the food. Let's put some of these raising agents into action. Let's show you how they're going to work in our food. Okay, let's carry on and do our cooking now. Let's just check if we've got any questions about raising agents before we carry on. Let's have a look. Anything there from... Yes, now a good question there from Talkie Girls Grammar. Can't you just use self-raising flour instead of plain flour, because plain self-raising flour already has baking powder in it? Absolutely. So let me just come to that. That's a really good point, Talkie Girls Grammar School. I'm just going to come to that. Well done there. And let me explain that one. So yeah, we are using plain flour today. So what is the difference between plain flour and self-raising? Self-raising flour has got a couple of large tablespoons of baking powder mixed into it already. Now, so we can use self-raising flour. Now, this comes to a point that I'm quite often asked. People making cakes, and they say, oh, I've made my cake, I've used self-raising flour, and it's not risen, it's sort of gone down a bit, it's not rising up a lot. What's gone wrong? The first question I like to ask is, how long have you had your self-raising flour open for? Oh, it's been in the cupboard for a couple of weeks, months, years. And I was like, right. That's your problem, because what starts to happen is obviously it's chemicals, dry acid, dry alkali, and over a period of time, stop working. Okay, the chemical reaction is going to stop working. So you're much better off. When I'm making cakes, I use a plain flour, and then I add my own raising agents into it. So I add my own baking powder into it. So and sometimes I make my own baking powder using cream of tartar and bicarbonate soda, and then add that to my plain flour. But if you haven't got that, and we're in a lockdown situation and we want to get you cooking, yes, self-raising flour will be fine. Then you don't need to be doing what we did before. So let's return to our cooking now. We've got there the flour that's been aerated, and we're going to add now, step number 3, we're going to add together to make our food. So that's a really good question. Good high-level question there. I like that one. So no, we don't need. We can use self-raising flour if you want to, or you can do what we're doing today and make self-raising flour from plain flour. And then into that plain flour, we are going to be putting 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Right. So here is my baking powder. I'm now going to turn my plain flour into self-raising flour. So let's put my 2 teaspoons. Well, so this is the little spoons there. I'm just going to put 2 teaspoons into my flour. I've now just turned my plain flour into self-raising flour. My plain flour has now got a raising agent in it. And when that adds some liquids, that's going to start to rise up. Okay, here we go. So we've got the baking powder in there at the moment. Now, let's go on to the 2 skills where we add the fat. And then we'll start bringing all that together. So you measured out the fat, and let's put the fat in. So I'm now going to put the fat into the flour. Here we go. In it goes, right slap bang in the middle there. Now, quick question there from school. Let me just go back to that quick question from school. And that question was, let's go here. What's the question? Mr. Mann, I've been baking and I've finished the bread already. It turned out fabulous. Thank you. I ran ahead with it while you were talking. That is absolutely fine. I'd love to see the photos of that. If you finish practical, yeah. So if you're at school, I will get the practical recipe sheet on there so you can complete that work at school, so you can do your evaluation sheet and send it back to me. So if you're at school, yes, Jan, if you're watching this obviously on YouTube, you do not need to complete your evaluation sheets for this week because you're not in my school. Maybe your school have got something slightly different to do, but yeah. Or if you're just watching this at home, no. But if you're watching this at school, yeah, I will send you practical evaluation. Well done for finishing the bread so far. Post a picture of the bread if you finished it already. Fabulous. Okay, for those who are watching us on YouTube, I've returned now to the flour and the fat, or even if you're watching us at Talkie Girls. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do 2 skills. The first skill I've got there is the skill of cutting in. And it does exactly what it says on the tin. This process of cutting in is just that. We have a rounded butter knife. We are going to cut it in. Here we go. So I'm now going to cut in the butter into the flour, and I'm just going to cut that in teeny tiny small. And how small does it need to be? Well, I suggest the size of rabbit poos. Okay, would be perfect. I'm sure you all eat rabbit poos out there. No, of course you didn't. But the size of raisins or sultanas, we're just going to cut that in with my rounded butter knife, so it's teeny tiny small, mixing all of that butter into it, as you would do if you were making a scone there. Or as you might be if you're making a crumble, you might have made crumbles this sort of way as well. So we're just getting the fat mixed into the flour that way. Perfect. Cutting that in so it's teeny tiny small. Okay. Okay, that's nearly done. Wonderful. Let me just check on YouTube. Have we got any messages up on there as well? Nope, we're all right there. So that's the process of cutting in. The next process we're going to do after we've cut in is we're going to look at rubbing in. So we've done cutting in there. We're now going to move on to rubbing in. Okay. Now, again, this does exactly what it says on the tin. What we're going to do here is we're going to use our fingers to rub the mixture together. So we're going to rub the butter and the flour together with our fingers. Now, it's very important. You want to be showing me your pinchy fingers, okay? So very, very ends of your fingers here. And we're not going to be holding on for it for too long. We want to think of it like it's red hot. Ooh, 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 ooh. We're going to be lifting this up and tickling it. And as we lift and tickle it, we're going to be rubbing the butter even smaller still. Okay, so we're going to get that butter all the way through it even more. So here we go. So I'm now just going to lift this up. And what I'm doing is just very lightly lifting and tickling, lifting and tickling, lifting and tickling this up. You can see that on the camera there. I'm just lifting it up. And each time I'm doing it, I'm just giving it a little rub. So I'm giving it a little rub each time, just so it gets teeny tiny small and that all gets incorporated. So I'm mixing together what's in there so far, the flour, the baking powder and the fat. And I'm just rubbing all of that through. There we go. I'm just rubbing it all together so it gets teeny tiny small. Okay, there we go. Nearly there. Rubbed it all together. Rub it up. Now, if you're not sure if any lumps, just give your bowl a little tap, a gentle tap. Don't want to break the bowl. And any large lumps should just come to the top there. We don't want too much either because we don't want to be losing all that wonderful air that we do. And actually, by lifting this up, these bits up as well, you're also going to get some more air. Can you remember what that's called? Aeration. So we've got aeration from us lifting and tickling it. And right now, we had aeration from sieving it or whisking it with a fork. We have aeration, which will be happening later when we start to activate that acid and alkali, when we get some liquid in it. Because at the moment, we've got a dry acid and dry alkali in there. It's not doing anything at the moment because it's not wet. In the same way that sherbet's not going to do anything in your mouth until, sorry, anything in the packet until it reaches your mouth. When it reaches your mouth, it's going to be really wet. So at that point you can then it's going to start to bubble away and fizz away, and that's what's going to happen with our food as well. Right, that is now incorporated. I can't even see the butter anymore. That's perfect. Now, if you've got floury fingers, stop as well. That means the butter is starting to melt, so we'll stop that one. If you have got it, just get a bit more flour on your hands, rub that together. There we go, and that'll just come off just a little bit. Don't want to affect the recipe too much. There we go, just to rub that off your fingers. Okay, so what we've got now is our butter that's been cut in and rubbing. There are two skills there, cutting in and rubbing in. So you've now done that, cutting in and rubbing in. Congratulations. We're now ready to put that in the oven. No, we're not. No. We need to glue it all back together. Okay, now by gluing it all back together, we call that something in cookery, we call that binding. Now you're going to bind all these ingredients together. So we need a liquid to bind it. But obviously when we add the liquid, then we're also going to start to activate our raising agent, our acid and alkali. So we're going to have to be fairly quick on the next few steps. All right. So we're going to be making mixing these ones together, and the thing we're going to be using to bind it or glue it all together is going to be an egg or an egg alternative. So I'm just going to, you can either get yourself an egg, or like I say, you can get yourself some eggs alternatives, some aquafabia, which will work fine with this one. And you're also going to add some milk or your milk alternative. So you might have your oat milk there, and we're going to put in a little bit at a time. Now, you don't want to be adding this all in straight away. You don't want to be adding too much in straight away because you won't be able to take it out. You can always add a little bit more, but you can't take away. I hope that makes sense. So let me just say again, we're going to put these liquids in gradually to bind it or glue it all together. But we're going to put a little bit in first and then build it up. We're not going to put it in straight away. So let me have a look. So some of you might be using an egg. So what I would suggest with the egg, you crack that into a little bowl. And then with the egg, you just use your fork, and then we're just going to stir that egg together, and you could put your egg in there. Or, like I say, you could use your aquafabia, your egg alternative, and you can put that in there at this point. Okay, so we're just going to pour all of that in. Let's pour some of that in. Now, the next thing you're going to be putting in is going to be the milk or the milk alternative. So here we have our milk alternative. Now, I'm going to say a little bit to start with. So it says on there, gradually and gently add a couple of tablespoons, up to no more than 6. So you won't need quite as many of that. So I'm just going to start with just putting in a little bit of that in there. Let's put a little bit in. I'm going to put 1, 2 to start with, and then we'll gradually add that in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to just stir that into a dough. So I'm just going to stir all of this together now. I'm just stirring this together, and then it will start to come together, or what we call binds. So we're gluing our ingredients. Don't put glue in your food. Glue itself doesn't taste very nice, and PVA glue wouldn't really work. But what you want to do is, let me just show you on the camera there. Zoom in again for you. There we go. So zoomed in there. You can see now that this is all starting to glue, or what we call together in cookery terms, bind together. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more again of that milk. So just adding another tablespoon or so of the milk. You can just see me pouring that one in. And another one. Okay. And I'm just going to stir that one together to bind or glue that together. Can you see that's happening on there now on the camera? That's starting to come together. Let me zoom in a bit so you get right on top of it so you can see there. Okay, so that's now coming together really well. It's just starting to come together. You can see into a ball. It's coming together there. Well, there we go. All right. Okay, let's make sure that's coming together. It's coming together really nicely. Just going to might give one more spoon, no more than 6. You should be fine to glue all this together. Yeah, I reckon one more spoonful's worth to take that one up, just so yours looks the same, and it's bound together. There we go. Now you should be at a stage where you can actually clean your bowl, which means it's great because it means you're going to have less washing up to do. So I've got to the stage now where I'm actually just using a bit like a mop now to clean the sides of my bowl. That's good. And it's all cleaned. There we go. All come together into one big ball in the middle there. Okay, so I've worked it into a soft dough, but we don't want to overwork it. So that is now a ball of dough. I'm not going to keep overworking it. I don't want to get it too tough on this one. So I've just made that one together into a ball. Okay, back to me. Right, so we've done that and we've got it into a ball. And if you have a look onto the, if I just zoom out again, you can see there, we've kneaded it. We're going to knead this one into a ball. Okay, so we've made it into a dough. We're going to knead it into a ball. So what you're going to need for this side, knead. Now, what is kneading? Kneading is, we're going to very lightly knead this one. Kneading is developing something very amazing that's going to give us our bread something for the bubbles to, the raising agent bubbles to blow into. So let me talk about this stuff. This stuff, again, which we talk about more in year 8, is called, well, let me explain what it's called. It's called gluten. Now, gluten is very strange and it's a sticky stuff. In fact, glue and gluten, their names derive from the same word, Latin word, to mean stick, and they are sticky. But they have another property because gluten is both elastic and plastic. Now, what does that mean? It's really stretchy like this purple balloon. Okay, so it's elastic and it's plastic, which means just like this slime, little pot of slime here, you can put your finger in and it will go back to the same shape. Okay, so it's plastic and elastic. You can mold it and it goes back to its same shape and you can stretch it. Now, gluten has the properties. Let me just wash my fingers there. Okay, and write this down. You're making something that is both stretchy and elastic. Now, something that you eat already that's both stretchy and elastic. If any of you have had bubble gum before, you will know to get the biggest bubbles, you're going to need to chew it lots. And that's what kneading is a bit like. What we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be kneading, which is stretching very lightly, not like a normal bread dough, only very lightly. We're going to knead this one very lightly, which is going to create this sticky stuff called gluten, which is stretchy and elastic. And then our gas, our air, our CO2, which is going to be produced, will fill up that gluten, like the bubble gum, blow up bubbles and make our bread big. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. Let me just show you what it looks like. And I've just done that very neatly. I've just squeezing it to develop this gluten, very lightly kneading it into a ball. Okay, so I'm just going to very lightly knead that one into a ball, just shaping it. Don't want to overwork it. There we go, into a ball. Fabulous. So I have got very lightly kneaded. So it's got a little bit of gluten in there, just to trap the air. Now inside there at the moment, we've got acid and alkali that's got wet. And because it's got wet, it's starting to create bubbles in there. And because we did a very little bit of kneading, it's also going to have some gluten in there. And don't forget the gluten is just like this stretchy balloon. It's going to be stretched and be blown up by that CO2, and it's going to expand and make our bread rise. So that's what's going to happen now. I'm sorry, just looking on the questions there on YouTube. I'm going to put the evaluation sheet onto Teams for you if you're watching this one at school through YouTube. So we've got people watching it at school through Teams. Some of you are watching it at school through YouTube. Some of you are watching it externally on YouTube. So there we go. All right. So that is now on my board. And what I need to do now is I need to shape it and spread and fill our bread. Okay. So if you go back to our recipe, we've come all the way down, done a little bit of kneading, and we're now going to start the most complicated stage of the lot. We're going to roll out the dough, and as we roll out the dough, we're then going to shape it. So we've got the dough here, we're going to roll it out, we're going to fill it. Now the recipe card said to fill it with pesto, so I'm gonna have a go. But the recipe also said you could use tomato on this one, which would work fine as well. So let's work out how we're going to do this one. How are we going to fill and shape it? So we have got a wonderful piece of dough there. I'm going to now shape it by rolling it, first of all, into a rectangle. Now I'm going to use a rolling pin. Now with a rolling pin, you're going to need a little bit of flour on there. Just dust that over and some on there. And I'm going to roll this into a rectangle. Okay, let's turn it around. I'm going to roll it into a rectangle. It's important that it is a rectangle. Now, if you haven't got a rolling pin, what could you use? Well, you could use an old milk bottle if you want to use one of those, or an old glass cordial bottle. You've got one of those. Be careful with glass though, because you don't want it to break. Okay, so I'm just going to roll that one into a rectangle. Just going to shape it a little bit into a rectangle, so it's got 4 sides, an oblong or rectangle. There we go. You see that going on there? All right, there we go. Rectangle. Fabulous. And hopefully yours looks a little bit like that too. Just going to roll this one into a rectangle shape. Fabulous. There we have our nice rectangle. How thick should it be? It should be about a pound coin thickness. And again, just make sure you've got some corners there. You've got some proper rectangle there. You can make it. You can make a couple of small ones. We had some questions saying, could we make some small ones? Yes, of course you could make some small ones. Yeah, that would work well. All right. There we have it. Nice, neat, oblong edges. Now, what are we going to do next with this one is we are going to put our filling on. Now, I'm today going to use some pesto, but you can make it green with pesto, or you can make it red with a tomato puree. So it's up to you. Or if you haven't got any of that, maybe even some passata on there as well would work well. But I'm going to show you pesto, and then hopefully if I get time, I'm going to quickly show you how to make your own pesto as well. So what I'm going to do with my rounded butter knife, where's my rounded butter knife gone? There it is. I'm going to spread this mixture over the top. So here we go. I've got my pesto. Now I'm not going to go all the way to the edges. Okay, I'm just going to leave a border all the way around the outside. Why am I doing that? Well, because what will happen is you'll end up with it going all the way to the edge, and then it will all come out and squirt out. So at the moment, it's looking a little bit like a snot pizza, a lovely green pizza. There we go. But you could say do this with tomato and actually make it look far more like a pizza. In fact, you could even use this recipe to make quick and easy pizzas. But like I said, we're going to be shaping this one because I'd like to show you some shaping stuff and shaping breads can get. Why are we doing this one? Well, the good thing is this is leading towards GCSE. So we're going to be using a scone bread, quick bread today for year 7. For year 8, we look at yeast bread. So we touched on what a yeast bread is, but we look at that in more detail in year 8. In year 9, we move on to different types of shaped and stuffed breads of both types. And then when we get to year 10 and 11, we're going to look at enriched shaped and stuffed breads. So each time we're going to look at different types of breads, because in year 10 and 11 for GCSE, a breads is one of the high skilled pieces that you will be doing, making hopefully for your final exams. Okay, so there's a reason for it. It's like a learning journey we're going on here to get these made up. All right. It's a bit of an explanation about why we're doing what we're doing and where it's come from and where it leads to. Now you can see there, I've covered that all the way over the outside there. Now what I could do, again, is I could put some cheese on this one. So I'm going to put, you can put any kind of cheese on this one. You can put any types of cheese you want to on this. Is absolutely fine. And I'm going to just put a little bit of cheese on the top of there as well. So I'm going to use a cheese grater. Be careful with cheese graters because they have got teeny tiny little knives on them. Can you see that? Each of those is a teeny tiny little knife on there. So just be very careful with that. Don't grate down to fingers. Okay, I'm just going to put some of that cheese on there. There we go. A little bit of cheese on the top there. Oh, yummy. This is a vegan cheese. This is a dairy-free cheese just going onto here. Just going to put some of that cheese on the top. And this is a fabulous bread. So you can do all sorts with this one. If you wanted to develop this one at home and do something further, you could also try making this into a sweet bread. This works really nicely with putting some frozen fruit on it, or you can put some squashed fruit purees on this one and make it a sweet one with some corn flour and maybe some custard on there, and you could make it into a sweet bread with sort of custard powder or corn flour on there, and then roll it in a different way. But for the moment, we have got our scone bread nearly ready to go. So we've got it left a gap around the outside. We've put our filling in the middle, which we've spread on, and then we put our cheese on the top. So it looks like a pizza. Good. Now the next stage is the most complicated bit. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn this into a scone bread twist. If you want to, and you know how to plait, you can turn this into a scone bread plait as well. And then if you want to, you can shape it again. So let me show you how we do this. Here we go. It's going to take a bit of time to get used to this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the longest side, not the shortest, not that side. You want to do this side, okay? So do this side, not this side, not that side, okay? So using the longest side, you're going to gently roll all of that mixture up. You see, like a Swiss roll, I'm just going to roll all of that mixture in there. And I'm just gently going to roll it all the way across. Perfect. Okay, can you see that now? I'm just going to make sure that's nice and round and shaped. And that is, just shape it, make sure it's neat and tidy on the ends. So I've rolled all that and I've just turned it. So I rolled it like that, and then I've just turned it around. So we've got the nice long sausage there. Perfect. Now the next stage is to get a really sharp knife. So if you're worried about this one, get a grown-up to help you. I'm going to use a really sharp knife. This is what we call a smaller one. This is a paring knife. Okay, it's a little sharp one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut through the middle. Now, if you know how to plait, we'll do this 3 ways. If you don't know how to plait, you can do this as a twist. So what you do is you put your fingers down on one corner, one end like that, 2 fingers. And then from that point, we're going to cut down. So if you know how to plait, so you can do it into 3. If you don't, do it into 2. Okay, I'll show you how to do both. So you get your fingers and thumb, 4 finger and thumb around the middle. So you're not going to cut your fingers. And then you can either cut it once down the middle for a twist, or 3 times like a plait. Okay, and we'll do that one. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just show you the simple one. So with one, see how I'm doing my thumb and forefinger, so that the knife doesn't come anywhere near my thumb or forefinger. They're around the outside, can't slip. And I'm just going to very gently slice that down the middle. There we go. All right. Now I've got 2 legs. Now if you ease that apart, you can see that they're actually striped now. You see that? We've got 2 striped legs. Now what I'm going to do now with those 2 striped legs, I'll turn them up so you can see them, is I'm going to do my scone bread twist. So I'm going to lift one over the top of the other. It's almost like you're crossing your legs. And then together, and then we have our beautiful scone bread twist. There we go, everybody. Hopefully you can all see that. Now what you can do is you can keep it long, just like that, or if you want to, you can twist it back on itself and create a couronne, or French for crown. And we twist that round into a circle, You can see all of the shaping there. There we go. Just put my finger in the middle and twist it around my finger. And there we have got a scone bread twist that's been made into a lovely rounded bread. Now, before we get that into the oven, we're going to do one final thing. And that one final thing is going to brush it with a little bit of either egg or milk on there. So if I'm just going to get a little bit of milk, I think. So oops, let's get a clean pot there. And we're going to get a clean pot, and we're going to get some milk in there. And I'm going to get now you can use a paintbrush that you haven't used, an old paintbrush, or a pastry brush if you've got that, or you could just use your fingers if you want to. So I'm just going to get a little pastry brush for me. Or like I say, you could use a paintbrush as well. Both would do nicely. And I'm just going to brush it with a little bit of the milk. Just to go on the top. I'm just using an oat milk here. Just to do it. Now, it doesn't matter if you can use egg or you can use, you can use egg or you can use milk on this one, and this is going to give it a beautiful glaze on the top of this one. A really lovely glaze. So if you want to, I mean, if you've got a paintbrush, you can use a paintbrush if it's a clean paintbrush, but I'm going to use just a pastry brush on this one just to make sure we have dabbed lots of milk, or say you could use egg, or you can use egg alternative just to all over the top. Now this itself is going to go onto a tray. So I've got myself a tray there. And I'm going to put some greaseproof paper onto that tray. So you can see there, I'm going to put some greaseproof paper onto that tray. Let's use those little scissors there. There we go. Just going to make sure it's big enough to fit my bread. Okay, fabulous. That's going to fit my bread. I'm going to put that into my tray. And I'm going to lift my bread onto there. It's nicely shaped. And that's going to go into the oven now for, say, for 200 degrees, gas mark 6. And that's going to go in there until it's golden brown. Now, how long for? Now, that's a good question. Let me just come back to me. That's going to depend on how big you've made these ones and how long. We're looking for them to be a lovely golden brown colour. So I've said there, cook until golden brown is what we're looking to. I would suggest you want to cook these ones for about 20 minutes. But again, if you've made a big one, it might take slightly longer. If it's a small, little mini ones, it might take less time. So I would use the 20 minutes, but if we were looking for it to be golden brown, so keep an eye on the oven to check how they're looking and before you actually take it out, okay? So just keep an eye on it, but 20 minutes is a good guide for that one. Alrighty, we are nearly there then. So I'll let you get that one into the oven. Now I did say I'd very quickly show you what is in a pesto. And a tomato puree, you know, is this tomato that's been chopped up really, really small, mashed up in a food processor kind of thing. It's been really chopped up, really, really small, cooked off. And that's how you get, and then it's reduced down. So that's how you get something like a passata. It's sieved tomatoes there. So you know that that's made of tomatoes. So what is a pesto made of? So we've got some pesto here. That's the pesto that we used earlier. Let me just very quickly show you how a pesto is made. So we've got some of these. These are pine nuts. Okay. So we're going to be putting in the pine nuts. Just check, obviously, for nut allergies. Not that we're not nuts themselves. You need to be looking at whether they've come close to peanuts, etc. So just got a nut allergy, just be aware of this. But we've got pine nuts in here. So we're going to put some pine nuts in. The other ingredient you need for making this is traditionally you'd be using some basil. So we've got some basil there. Oh, it smells lovely. It tastes good now. Just while that's in the oven there, I'm going to show you how to do this one. That's really lovely. It's like a licoricey, fruit pastel-y taste. It's really lovely. So you've got that, and you've got that. So you've got basil, and you've got some pine nuts. And what we're going to do is we're going to toast the pine nuts. We're going to put a big load of the basil in there with some olive oils, whiz them up with a little bit of fresh lemon juice in there as well. And I'm going to show you quickly show you how to make your pesto, homemade pesto. Now, you don't need to use basil leaves. During the summer, during lockdown #1, we actually used nettles. So got some nettles from the field next door. So always be careful when you're foraging to make sure you know exactly what you're looking at and what you're looking for. And there's some apps out there you can download to show you that. And always make sure, again, you've got adult supervision and you're checking what that is. But you can use nettles. Chop the nettles up really, really small in the same way you chop the basil up really, really small. You can whiz it in a food processor, or if you've got a pestle and mortar, you can grind it up that way and make your own pesto. You can also make pesto out of kale. That's a lovely one. So again, if you're struggling to get hold of basil during lockdown, there's lots of different alternatives that you can use to make your own pesto there. So it's a combination of toasted pine nuts. So let me just see if I can. Should we have a go now? We've got a little bit of time there. I'm going to very quickly show you. Let's go to my kitchen there. I'm going to just show you how to make that one. Let's zoom in a bit. Oops. Let's come over to the kitchen. There we go. And I'll very quickly show you how to zoom in a bit more. Right. Any questions before we begin? Let's see. Yeah, I can do that one. Any more questions from school? Let's have a look. Don't worry if you haven't brushed it. Right, so question from school there. If I didn't brush it with egg wash or milk, will it be okay? The answer to that one is absolutely yes, it will be okay. So don't worry about that one. Okay, so joining me back over here in my kitchen. So what I've got here is just a large frying pan there. So you've got some pine nuts at home, so you can make this one. I'm going to lightly toast my pine nuts. So pine nuts there, whack the heat on. Just going to show you how quickly you can make your own. There we are. Now it should give you a lovely buttery taste, these ones, pine nuts. So I'm just going to quickly toast those ones in the frying pan. So I've got the heat on the frying pan there. In the food processor over here, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be putting in some some toast in there. Some toast. I'm going to put the basil leaves in there. So in go the basil leaves. Just going to cut a good handful of basil leaves in there. There we go. And again, you can use kale with this one. Leafy greens are really good for this sort of thing. So leafy greens are a very good source of iron for you. Lots of vitamins and minerals. So yeah, when you're going to put different sorts in here as well. So this won't take long, about 5 minutes to make your own there. I've got the toasted pine nuts going on there. I'm going to put those ones into the food mixer. I'm going to put a little bit of lemon juice in there as well. So let me chop that one down. So we're just going to come back to me. Oh, so I'm just going to, while they're doing that, I'm just going to chop up the lemon juice there. Chopping up your lemon. So I've just chopped the lemon in half there. Then go back to the kitchen over here. Okay, so chop the lemon in half there. We're going to be putting some of the lemon juice straight in there as well. In the lemon juice goes. Squeeze half a lemon juice in there. There we go. In that goes. The pine nuts are now toasting off nicely. They've actually got a lovely brown toasted colour to them already. They're really looking lovely there. A glug of olive oil there into there. So we're going to put in some good glug of olive oil. There we go. Into the food processor as well. In that goes. So we've got some extra virgin olive oil there. So the basil, like I say, you can replace that. If it's during the summer, you can use nettles, which is lovely with nettle pesto. With nettles, you want to try and get it during the early summer. When you get to winter time, it's not going to be as good. So you have to get it at the right time when you're doing nettles, and you don't want to be when they start to bud or flower. They're not going to be nice. So there we are. Now, if I just show you that on the camera, they have wonderfully toasted off. So I don't know if you can just about see that one on the camera. They're lovely and brown there, toasted off there. Beautiful. Going to get those ones into the food processor as well. In they go. So just use a wooden spoon, get them in there. Toasted pine nuts, olive oil, in we go. In they go. We're going to blitz those up. Final ingredient, bit more cheese. Now, certain sort of cheese goes into this one. And we're using an Italian hard cheese to go into this one. So we can use that one to go in there. A little bit of Italian hard cheese is going to go into this one. You just open that packet up. Then you can use Parmesan, Parmigiano Reggiano, with Grana Padano. My Italian's rubbish. A hard Italian cheese, what you're looking for. I say, and we're just going to grate that one into there as well. In that goes. Nice, good grating of Italian hard cheese into there as well. And I say, having it a bit of an explore with pesto is always a fabulous one to try new flavours with. We tried, what else did we do during the summer? For lockdown, we were experimenting. Oh, dandelion leaves were lovely as well. You can eat the whole of the dandelion, and we had dandelion leaf pesto as well. And what else pesto? We used dandelion flowers for pesto. We had a bright yellow pesto. So I do like my pesto, and there we go. Good chunk of cheese in there, and then we'll just whizzle that up. Pulsing away, and we're going to have our own homemade pesto, so you can see what went inside that. Okay, do that. Oh, it's smelling lovely. Buttery, oily, and that is how you make pesto. So you can see that one on the camera. We've got some beautiful pesto there. Just thought I'd let you see that one since we had a bit of time there to show you how to make your own pesto to go into this one. Oops, there we go. Zoom out there a minute. So you can have a go at making your own pesto if you want to. That looks yummy. There we go. Oh, that does taste good. Really, really nice. So if you can have a chance to have a go at making your own pesto, it's a lovely extension to the lesson there. Right. That is nearly it. What we got? 10 minutes left, 10, 15 minutes left, which is perfect, which is exactly where I was hoping to be at the end of the lesson, because that gives us the last bit of the lesson to do. The last bit of the lesson is, as with all of these ones, is to make sure that you are now cleaning up. Okay. Now, there's all very well doing all of that wonderful cooking, and mine's nearly ready to come out. I'll post some pictures of that in a moment when it comes out. I can smell the smells are coming really. This is like smell-o-vision. Beautiful. So collect all the equipment you've used. Wash everything up using the correct method, and dry the teat out and put everything away on the draining board. Now that won't be checked by a teacher, that's going to be checked by whoever the grown-up is. But please make sure you are washing up properly. So what do we mean by washing up properly? Well, if you've got a sink close to hand, then you want to be getting it into the sink. If you've got a bowl, fill that bowl up with hot soapy water. If you haven't got a bowl, put a plug in there, fill it up with hot soapy water, okay? And it's really important, it's as hot as you can, lots of soap suds in there so we can get it properly clean, like washing up liquid in there. Now, before you start washing up, can you make sure that you're very, very careful? We used a sharp knife today. Can you make sure you carry that knife over to the sink with the point to the floor with the blade behind you? You only carry one knife at a time. Don't let go when you're putting that in the washing up bowl. You keep hold of it, and you use a brush if you can, rather than putting your hand too close to that knife. Use a brush. So if you've got a washing up brush, to brush it away so it's properly cleaned off. Then put that at the very back of where your draining board might be, or wherever you put your drying equipment. Put that at the very back. So make sure the knife is the first thing. After the knife, can you make sure you wash up the cheese grater, because again, that's got sharpness to it. Now, if you were using a food processor to make your own pesto, get a grown-up to wash that up, please. Make sure that because they need to make sure it's all switched off beforehand. So if you're using a food processor at all, again, let the grown-up use that part of it. So washing up, if you can wash up now, you start with a knife. make sure you hold that safely. Make sure you wash it up safely. Don't be tempted to dry a knife with your tea towel because you'll cut your hand. So make sure it dries at the back of it, say, or wherever you would put your stuff to dry. Once done that, you can start washing up everything else. You've got your pots, I've got looking what you've got here, your spoons, your forks, your bowls, they need washing up. Be careful when you've washed them up, when you stack them in wherever you dry them on the draining board, that they don't slip. So push right back when you do that and leave them to dry. If you're using a tea towel to dry them, don't use a tea towel to dry this one because you could cut your hands. That's best off left to drip dry. Okay, on the other hand, you might have a dishwasher to put it in. That's cheating. You should really be washing it all up. Then we need to clean up our sides. Now, when you're cleaning up your sides, please make sure you scrape down all the flour first into a bowl and take that to your bin or wherever you dispose of that, okay? Because if you put hot soapy water on your work surface where you've had flour, it's going to be very, very sticky and it's going to be a nightmare to clean off. So scrape down your sides. When you've taken everything to be washed up, scrape down your sides first. Make sure you've brushed all that flour off before you start adding water to clean your work surfaces. So otherwise, we're going to be creating something. In fact, you'll know this because we talked about this. You'll be creating something with flour and water that's very, very sticky. You'll actually be creating gluten on your work surface. Okay, that come back to that food science. So make sure you've cleaned up properly. You've got 5-10 minutes left of the lesson to do that cleaning up now. So if you can get yourself all cleaned up. If you're watching this Talkie Girls Grammar, I'm just about to post your evaluation sheets so you can evaluate today's lesson and you can write up how it went and post your photos onto that through Teams. If you're watching this on YouTube for the first time, I hope it worked out well on YouTube and has come across okay. It's the first time we've live streamed it on YouTube as well, but I know some of the other schools wanted to watch it who might not be able to cook otherwise. So I hope you've enjoyed that one on YouTube. If you have, again, I'd love to know where you're watching this from. Obviously, we're down here in Devon, but I'd love to know where you all are as well on YouTube. Fabulous. I think I'm going to log off now. How long have we got left there? Yep, sorry. So we've got ourselves last few minutes of the lesson there. So if you, I'm going to log off now and say thank you very much for joining us. Be good, be safe, play it safe in the kitchen when you are in the kitchen. Always make sure we follow the rules and regulations that we said in the first place. Remember, they can be a dangerous place, but so if you play it safe, you will be able to create some wonderful food today. And I'd love to see photos of the food that you've created. So please send those to us. Fabulous. Any more questions before I go? Let's have a look. I'm just checking for any more questions, both on YouTube and on the school Teams. No. Okay then, girls. That's Talkie Girls Grammar. Thank you very much for joining us. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much for joining us as well. Goodbye.